Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. How's your trip going?
So far, so good. Yeah.
Busy?
Busy. Speed dating. A lot of speed dating.
Right. But done this before, so you're
Done this before.
used to the speed dating aspect of it.
Yeah, it's like you just pitch yourself differently every single time, slightly differently to make yourself not get bored.
Yeah, especially when you get a majority of the questions are similar
same.
questions. Yeah. Make it seem
pitching.
fresh each time.
Yeah.
Do you just go on autopilot?
You try not to. You're like, okay, you got to be here. So it's like trying to engage the person. It's like, okay, maybe they like this approach. So
Yeah.
it's like twist it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often do you come to LA?
I have family here, so I'm not as often as I'd like to, but still, it's been like maybe I've been here like 5 times in the last 10 years or so.
Okay. Yeah. And did you get here a little bit beforehand so you could get adjusted to the time change, or were you hitting the ground running?
No, I wanted to, but my flights got messed up, so I had to like literally hit. I was here day before yesterday, and I was at the festival yesterday.
Running in.
Yeah, running in. And so last night by the time I finished dinner, I was like,
Oh, I'm sure.
Is it similar to like filming life in terms of like it's just go, 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 go? Somebody's taking you to your next shot?
Well, you're used to that, right? The filming life, you kind of get used to it, and you know exactly when the adrenaline kicks in, and you know what to do. Like when jet lag is just death, man.
Yeah.
And it's worse going back. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyways, thank you so much for coming on to the channel. This is our stupid reactions. I'm
why is it called that?
Good. Well, you explain.
The original channel just came about. I asked Rick if he wanted to. We always talked about movies together.
Yeah,
because we be my theater teacher.
I was his theater teacher, and we're both actors. So the Oscars are like our Super Bowl, and we always talked about acting and film. And so he said, "Let's do a YouTube channel." At first, we were going to do a podcast, and it became a reaction channel. And we decided, what do we want to call it? I said, well, let's just call it our stupid reactions.
Yes,
and that's just
it just stuck. And it's kind of almost foolproof, like. And people like they don't like your opinion or they don't like something you said.
We told you it was
we're stupid.
Yeah, we told you it was stupid. and we have to remind people, our subscribers are affectionately referred to as stupid babies. That just happened because in the intros, sometimes Corbin would say, "Hey, welcome back, you beautiful stupid babies." And now it's a term of endearment.
I call them stupid idiots, but
That's
okay.
true. Now they're just stupid idiots.
Anyways, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
You are a big part of the channel. Your work, actually.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of your work.
Sacred Games was our first series from India that we ever watched. We've seen a lot of obviously your writing work, but we've seen Trapped, Luchtera, Udan, Sacred Games, Jubilee.
Yep. Well, and you have a credit that
Bhavesh Joshi.
You have a credit I'm very interested in. You are credited in No Smoking as man showing middle finger.
Yes, that was me.
That's got to be one of the top things you have on your resume.
100%.
Yeah,
because I was like one of the last few times I actually smoked. So.
I love that because
I do too. It's a great credit.
I think one of the first credits we saw, like that was just a random credit, was Ranbir in 3 Idiots.
Yes,
where he was alien number 2.
Alien number 2.
Yes.
Yep.
But also, I've seen on your resume that you've basically done everything under the sun on the film set, especially on your come up. You were obviously a writer, director, but you've AD'd, you've craftied, you've wrangled,
choreography,
choreography.
Yep,
wrangled on your og, everything like that.
Yes.
So like, how important is that to you in terms of your development as a writer, director? Do you think that that's like something that made you who you are today by having to do everything on a film set?
100%, because I think a director needs to be kind of proficient, or at least know about everything else. I mean, a lot of directors will just like make it up as they go along. But I think it's important for a director to know how sound works, how music works, how choreography, if you're going to get into that, how that kind of stuff works, how writing is, what directing is like, what producing is like. So when you do all of that sort of stuff as an AD, automatically you tend to sort of like know those things, and you can. But I think a lot of those credits, a lot of the choreographer, for example, actually, that credit or a sound credit on Panch, and I mean a lot of that's actually credit to Anurag, because he'd be the kind of guy who'd be, I need someone to be able to like do my sound on this film, and I just put I'm like, I'll do it, because I'd been in AD, I'd spent multiple hours inside a in a sound studio, and I thought, hey, I can design this shit. So so that's how you just put your hand up and you're like, I'll do it. And Anurag is kind of like enthusiastic enough or foolish enough to say, yeah, sure. It's not like what have you done before? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Is that pretty common in your experience in the industry that a lot of filmmakers are okay with someone doing something that maybe didn't have any experience doing it, or is that very particular to somebody like an Anurag who would do something like that?
It's specific to him. Anurag is somebody who has a great eye for not just talent, but just like people who he figures are like, oh, that guy will, hard worker, sort of great eye. Is passionate about the movie, is passionate about doing work.
Right.
He ends up giving a lot of, so if you look at a lot of directors today who've sort of come up because of Anurag, the list is probably the longest list of any sort of senior filmmaker in the industry.
Of course, yeah.
Of people who've been able to come into the industry thanks to him.
Was your first experience of training on set as an AD with Sanjay Leela Bhansali, is that correct? And how many films did you get to work on with him?
2 films.
Did 2 films. I imagine that was a pretty big learning experience on those 2 sets.
Oh, yeah, yes. It was a pretty big, it was especially the first one, Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, was all shot on film, cut on film.
When you say cut on film, we're talking cut.
We're talking like, Steenbeck.
Yeah,
we're talking Steenbeck. It was all post-produced on film, so you actually had to carry, like, we'd go for scoring the film, and we'd actually carry 36 cans along with us in a taxi from the editing studio to the studio, and then
like Jubilee.
Yeah, it was madness. Like we'd have a permanent taxi with us. Would be like hanging on. You're gonna get all these cans.
Here come the cans.
Because you never know, like, I want to score reel number 16. You're like, you got to have the picture and the sound for reel number 16, make sure it's there.
Right.
But invaluable as a filmmaker to learn on celluloid, because it's just like scientifically, it just teaches you so much more than what digital teaches you.
Do you miss that, the celluloid aspect of being able to film something and actually have that physical thing in your hand and work with that?
Well, I miss it I get a little bit of nostalgia, but also from a slight learning experience. I wish I could sort of like explain to some younger filmmakers what is a frame, like really what is a frame.
Literally a frame on film.
Happens with my. I still shoot film sometimes, and my daughter can't understand. She doesn't compute it. She's like, "So where's the photo?" And I'm like, "It's in the film." So what do you mean it's in the camera? I'm like, it's on the film. What is film?
What is film?
And then I have to sort of explain to her, and she's like, "So how does it work?" And then I was like, "It's a chemical process." The moment I say chemical, it's like it's
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
As a director, and I'm sure it depends film to film, how spontaneous are you on set? Are you like, so some directors like, this is the script, this is what we're going to fucking shoot today. And then there's others that are a lot more loosey-goosey about it. I know you said one thing in a podcast with Anurag that you did, that you should get the damn shot. But if everything is going your way, how are you as a director?
I believe that if you see yourself as, and especially if you're involved in the writing, I think you tend to see yourself as different people at different points of time in the film. So there are moments and I've seen a lot of directors do this where on the day of shooting, they're like, but why do we need to shoot this? This is pointless because blah, 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 blah. I don't need this. And you're justifying it because you're justifying it in your head and to everybody else around you because you want to change it, or you're bored with what's already on the paper because it's like you've read it 1,000 times, or in the moment you're like, oh, I don't have time to shoot this. So you justify it. And I've realized that I've done that as well, and I've realized that it's a mistake because I wish I'd taken that shot because it made, like you take something out and you're like, oh shit, there's a domino effect that happens, an hour later that you didn't think about. So I've come to my reasoning for this becomes the fact that, okay, the day I locked the script, I was a different person than the day I locked it right now. So that was the writer me, this is the director me, but I got to respect that writer me, that he made a decision to be able to sort of like include this moment here, and let's respect it, let's shoot it, and then take a decision later on we want to take it out or not. So I tend to like, if the script is something that one is locked and one has been happy with, then just shoot it.
Right.
And you can always take decisions kind of afterwards. But on the day, and if you have an hour and you got to still cover 20 shots, then you have no other option but to be able to say, let's move, let's do this, let's do that. Not important.
Do you consider yourself a writer or director first? Like we've talked to Vishal Bhardwaj, and he says, I make movies so I can put my music in it. And so, did you consider yourself a writer first? That was like I
director first.
Director,
director first. Because I came in because I was an AD and I've come in from the visual medium. I've been a photographer, so it's like the little bit of mixture when you start to see the world through a visual lens.
Yeah.
And that's a very director kind of thing. So you apply that to the writing as well. You tend to see everything through. Yeah, but have you guys ever seen that Kieslowski film, Camera Buff?
No.
It's a great film. But yeah, I mean, that guy literally like sees everything through like that.
Through a
Even
lens.
a fight with his wife, at some point in time, he's going like...
What's it called?
Camera buff.
Camera Buff.
Camera
Okay.
Buff. Yeah, you got to see it. It's a great movie.
I'll look that up.
I find myself like that sometimes. Like you tend to see everything through a visual lens. It's like everything is like, oh, that's a great photograph. Like this is a great photograph.
And is your screenwriting that way as well when you write something, or do you come up with just pure story first and then frame it?
Try to find pure story first. It's difficult. It's hard. When directors write, there's a tendency to think as a director of like how this is going to work visually, and so there's a tendency in the early days to be able to put the shots into the script. And I've experience has taught me not to do that, to keep the beats of the script, you know. But yes, because I think Tarantino and the Coen brothers are kind of masters at this, where because they are directors and they're also writers, they know exactly how to write a script that speaks visually, but it's not like they're telling you shots in the script. And I'd love to have that ability.
I can't imagine everybody wouldn't like to have that, because the process of being able to write such a cohesive story with so much dialogue, and then simultaneously create something visually that fits and works so well with it. Yeah, I agree.
What is your? Because you and Anurag have worked together a lot, obviously, and I know you're just really good friends. You both have very similar in terms of like the cinema that you tend to like tends to be similar style of cinema, but you're also very different in a lot of aspects. You're also very different personality-wise.
Sure.
I don't know if you have ADHD, but Anurag is very ADHD, all over the place. Yeah. But like, how is it? Because you did Sacred Games together. You've done a lot of stuff together. How is the writing process with somebody who's similar in some ways, but also very, very different?
And directing.
Yeah.
No, so that way we're very different from. So he takes 3 days to write a script or 4 days to write a script. I mean, it'll be in his head for the longest time, and he'll just spit it out one day.
Hyperfixation, ADHD.
And just like go down and just like spend 4 days and not do anything but write that stuff down. I will think about it for the same amount of time, but I will take 3 weeks to write a script. To a month to write a script, because you kind of break it up in that much time.
Yeah.
Those are the different. And in terms of directing, like I know, like Anurag, like he doesn't prep. Like he literally doesn't like. He trusts his team to go out there and do the prep, and he'll land up on the day of set, and it's like, okay, everything's great. You guys are prepped, great. Let's shoot it this way. That can be very frustrating for his crew. It can also be very liberating for his crew.
Right.
So it depends. I'm the kind of person who preps. I don't over prep, but I like to prep. Mainly because I want to keep my team happy. I hate prep. It's like my least favorite part of filmmaking. Going on location scouts and somebody's like, so what's the shot? And I'm like, I don't know what the shot is. I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out when I'm here.
I'll figure it out when I'm here as we go along, right? Like you can't ask me what the shot is on the first day that I'm actually at a location scout. But yes, I like to be able to like be at the place before, to understand what I'm kind of doing. I think that just helps on the day where one can then be sort of like, spontaneous. And
have y'all co-directed like on the same day, or do like one of y'all take one scene, one of y'all take a different kind of scene?
We would never be able to do that.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
That's gotta be difficult.
Yeah. So that's my next question, and you answered it. You would never co-direct something at the same time.
No, never.
Yeah.
Even Sacred Games was. I was the showrunner I was the showrunner on it, and I got Anurag on board because I was trying to find a solution to the fact that I couldn't direct all of it because I had the dates and Nawaz and Saif were there at the same point in time, and yet I couldn't do multiple directors doing different episodes because it was a scheduling nightmare. Like my first AD was like his brains were about to come out of his head. So the only person I could trust to be able to say, you know what, I'll direct all of the Saif Ali Khan Sartaj story, you direct all of the Nawaz story. And Anurag was the only guy who could do that. And I'm like, I won't...
That was the split up?
Yeah, that was the split up.
Okay.
So I was like, I won't come on your set, you don't come on my set, and we'll get Aarti Bajaj, who's Anurag's ex-wife, also his editor for many of his films. I'm like, she'll edit the series.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Were you using the same DOP and crew?
No,
completely different teams.
Different crews, completely different teams.
Wow.
We did one meeting to sort of talk about transitions from story to story.
That also speaks volumes to, because it's still, for me, it may be because it was first, but Sacred Games, we always talk about what's our favorite series that we watch. I always go back to Sacred Games as being my favorite that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
And it's really astonishing that you guys, were you impressed with the final result to look at the fact that you guys are doing your own thing at your own time, and it looks like a seamless whole. It looks like a Coen Brothers thing as far as just one vision. Were you surprised at how even everything felt and looked?
Well, that's, I guess, testament to the writing and to the editing of the piece.
Truly.
It stayed seamless. I think the writing was great. I think
incredible writing.
The transitions that went between scene to scene, moment to moment, between past and present were fantastic. Like, you leaned into like what you wanted to, when you wanted to go into the past, you got enough information, came back at a good moment.
Right.
And I think that stuff really worked.
It did.
I have one gripe.
This is about Sacred Games.
I would like to. I didn't even ask. I should have asked Anurag because I don't know who did it. There's one scene at the end,
the absolute end,
where this dumbass lady comes in.
You may know where this is going.
She wastes 2 times putting in a code where she knows shit about what's going on. She's just gambling. Nope, that didn't work.
Incorrect.
I was so mad at her.
Everybody's trying to deduce it, but she's. Was that you or Anurag, or can we blame somebody else for that? Who can we blame for that?
For the dumbass lady.
When in doubt, blame
Anurag.
Blame the
writer. So there's truly, because of, like Korbin said at the outset, there's so many things of yours that we've seen. I'm also interested to know, particularly for you, is there something that you're working on now or about to work on that you can talk about that you're really excited for people to know about?
Unfortunately, I can't.
Yeah, but there is something.
I'm excited about lots of things.
Yeah.
I'm excited about. I mean, broadly speaking, I'm very excited about doing genre stuff. I think there's a time, and this is true for Anurag. I think there's a generation of us that grew up in the '90s, especially when we sort of like came of age, as filmmakers and as audience members, and I was just so taken aback by what was happening here, with what Nolan was doing, what Tarantino was doing, or what Fincher was doing, or what Usual Suspects, or any of these movies, and James Cameron, and so literally grew up watching these like pure genre films that you wished you could have made in India, but you could never do it because you always had to Bollywoodize that thing.
Right.
But I think that time's come now when you can, and I think there's a moment, and that's a good moment right now. You can make pure horror, you can make pure comedy, you can make pure action, and not have to lean into the Bollywood trope. So I'm excited about making movies and kind of getting movies done like that, which can be interesting and funny and scary and all kinds of kinetic, and also be political, and also be fun.
Are you going to move down to the south like Anurag?
Movie. I don't know about the south, but move somewhere.
Yeah. Now, a few years ago, what you were saying about the freedom to do those things and be just genre specific, it was very clearly happening on OTT. It wasn't so much happening theatrically. No. Do you feel that's the same, or do you feel a shift happening where they're becoming more open to theatrical releases being genre specific?
I think theatrical. I think the theatrical releases are going to get more genre specific because people are going to find that you make it at the right budget and cast it the right sort of way, that there's a potential there. But of course, it also means marketing it the right sort of way, getting
exactly,
distribution done. It's not a very simple thing of getting the films made. I think there's a systemic kind of reset that needs to sort of happen right now in Indian cinema to sort of like do. But I think the potential is there for these movies to. Streaming's gone hyper local.
Yeah, and you've done obviously a lot of them. Like I said, we've had a lot of running things with a lot of your movies. Actually, obviously, for the longest time, the first thing we ever saw Saif in was Sacred Games.
That was the very first thing we saw Saif Ali Khan in. He was Sartaj
for a long
us.
time before we were like, oh nope, that's Saif Ali Khan. Binod became a thing from Jubilee, which we loved, and There's
the dad from Udan.
The dad from Udan.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's just our own.
I mistake every older Indian with a mustache as the dad from
the guy who played the dad from Udan.
Which is a phenomenal actor, phenomenal film.
Great film.
On that, you've done so many different styles of film.
And series.
One, I would ask if you have ADHD, but you actually don't give off that vibe very much. But is it just because you like, I don't want to get bored in one genre, and you're like, I just want to make everything? It's very diverse catalog.
Because as a film fan, I love every kind of movie. Like I grew up watching Amitabh Bachchan movies. I then sort of like switched over to watching the Hollywood stuff that came out in the early 90s from here. And then also like once you sort of like get into that, then you start to go back into the past and like, oh my God, who are these guys? Who's Hitchcock? Who's Kurosawa? Who's Fellini? Who's Bergman? Who are all these amazing filmmakers? And I think that's therefore, like, if I love every kind of movie, then there's a tendency of like wanting to make every kind of movie as well.
Yeah.
So and then I get scared of being the guy who's going to do something a second time because I think I'm going to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go down that path because I'll just like, I'll get lazy. I'll do the same thing again, and I don't want to do that, and I don't want to make a mistake.
It's funny because I've heard like other artists, like they know that what their audience wants. And so they kind of stick to it. But obviously, I think it's a more common thing for artists to be like, I kind of just want to do what I want to do. And if you think it's good, please watch it. Right?
No, I know. Yeah. And there's you. I mean, it's fine as long as I'm not afraid of failure. I think that you have to, the fact when you do something new, and the chances are you could fail because if you haven't done it before, then you can obviously fail at it. But you can also fail if you've done it before again. There's no guarantee that you'll do it better second time.
Yeah.
So.
We've been really excited about the way things have started to open up in America and their understanding and appreciation of Indian cinema. It's got a long way to go. But for example, when RRR happened, Rajmouli was talked to by James Cameron, and obviously Scorsese loved Gangs of Wasseypur with Anurag. Is that something that you would like to personally do? Would you like to collaborate or do some things that are work here in the United States and in Hollywood? Or is it just one of those, if it happens, that's great, I'm focused on what I do in India?
No, 100%. I want to do it, but it has to be the right thing. I think there's always a thing of like, if I've directed and I've created my entire life with a lot of freedom in India, and you want to be able to have the same experience over here. I know it's never impossible. You're never going to replicate that kind of stuff, but there's always like, I think finding the patience to be able to do the right thing at the right time versus just coming and saying, hey, I'll gig it and I'll do episodes of something that you don't want to
do some episodes or do one studio film, and then you can do something independently or at least get financed and you have full control over.
Yeah. Well, you've worked with a lot of great actors in your career. What one do you look for in an actor? Two, what annoys you about actors? Doesn't have to be specific.
And you don't have to name any names.
Just broad general annoyance of actors.
I think, look, most of the ones I've auditioned of any actor you've auditioned, like you know it in the first 30 seconds of the audition that this is the guy. Right? There's an instinctive, like, either you've written the character or you've worked on that character. You know the character is on paper. And when someone translates that stuff on paper onto screen, immediately in the first 30 seconds, you know it. And on Sacred Games, for example, the guy who played Kartikar, like in the first 30 seconds of his audition, you're like, this is the guy. There's nobody else. I don't want to see any other audition because he's the perfect guy for this role. And that was true of even Apar Shakti as Binod on Jubilee as well. Like I saw the audition, I'm like, this is the guy.
Yeah.
And on set, literally, like what you want from any actor is just be prepared.
Yeah.
Just come prepared. Know what your lines are. And just be prepared for, and then afterwards, yes, we can improvise. We can do everything we want to do on set. But as long as you know the material, then you can improvise. I just find it like my pet peeve is people coming like unprepared.
Yep.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yep.
As a writer director,
know your lines and hit your marks.
Very annoying.
Hit marks is also like, okay, that's the DOP kind of thing. Like, so you don't hit your mark, I'm fine. But as long as you just know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Do you often shape, like, do you find a lot of the actors that you work with, obviously, you work with great ones, but do you like to really shape their performance, or is it just you already wrote their character on paper and that's basically what you see? Because like when you directed Ranveer, I think a lot of people were very impressed at how subdued he was, because obviously he's a very larger-than-life character. But you've often got great performances out of almost everything we've ever seen of yours.
No, there's a lot. There is work that happens, and one part of it is the script as well. You try and write characters that have interesting journeys. That the journeys go a long way versus a short way. It's not A to B; it's from A to Z. You want to be able to take them on the longest journey possible. So that's one part of it, is the writing part of it, and then there's also like just trying to through rehearsals trying to figure out who are you, what are you doing, what's your motivation. So there's some amount of workshopping that kind of happens. And hopefully those two things together will make the writer just get it and perform. If not, then you nuance it, nuance it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I want to end this with a little bit of rapid fire. We just did another one with the Indian mentalist. I don't know if you've ever talked to her, Shishani.
Yeah, Shishani.
How do you pronounce her name?
Suhani. That's Rick.
Suhani?
Nice.
Suhani?
Suhani.
I got mad that I didn't do a rapid fire. We steal it from Karan Johar. But first off, coffee or chai?
Coffee.
Yeah. What's your favorite book?
Ooh, oh man. 100 Years of Solitude. Gabriel Garcia.
100 Years of Solitude.
Is that who?
Marquez.
Yeah. Favorite movie from anywhere? Do you have a favorite? Do you want to be genre specific? I could be genre specific.
One of Back to the Future.
Just the first one?
Yeah.
Doesn't Tarantino call that a perfect film? I think Tarantino calls it a perfect film.
Which one? They're all the same.
The first one, Back to the Future.
The first one.
They're all identical.
No, the first one it's pretty perfect.
Who were some of the directors that inspired you growing up? Obviously, I think you were already grown up by the time you saw Quentin and them.
I think today, if I have to look back at like my favorite directors, it's Kurosawa, it's Ray, it's Hitchcock, Billy Wilder, Vijay Anand from back home would be. I like the classic guys. And then in the modern day, I think Fincher for me is sort of head and shoulders above everybody else in the modern day, and I wish he did more movies. It's kind of sad that he doesn't.
Yeah. Favorite food that you miss when you're away from home?
A very basic dal chawal.
And favorite curse word? You can make it Indian so I can learn something new.
My favorite curse word is, I guess, gandu is just like
Gandu?
Gandu?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does that mean? You can tell me. It's fine.
The thing is, but gandu's got like, it can be anything. It can be, gandu can literally, gand means ass, so gandu can be like you ass. It can be asshole. It can be stupid fuck, idiot, moron.
We say gandu.
Yeah.
That's more of a stupid fuck.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gandu
is great. It's also the kind of one that's said in the right sort of way, can also not be. People won't take it seriously. It can almost feel like a friendly way of saying it, but also said in the right way, it can also be like a.
Nice.
Learned a new one.
There you go.
Gandu. Oh, there's a pankaj. Bostike? Is that something?
And that's a wrap, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great trip. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You.